Hello vlog, welcome back to another episode. So 2 years ago we packed up everything we own into 6 suitcases, and at the time our whole life was in LA. And to be honest, we had no idea how long we'd actually be gone or that we would learn a completely new way of living. Since then we've moved more times than I can count, and we've lived in California, we have lived in Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, South Carolina. We have unpacked and repacked dozens upon dozens of times, learned to call hotels home, and have gotten really good at fitting our entire life into just a few bags. Along the way, something sort of unexpected happened. Living out of suitcases changed how we bought things, influenced how we dress, what we considered essential, and it even changed what home meant to us. And today I'm sharing with you some of the biggest lessons we've learned after 2 years of carrying almost everything we need with us. Lesson 1, every item has to earn its place. Let's be clear, this is not a lesson on minimalism. The way we think of it is every object has a cost beyond its price tag. Like when you're living out of a suitcase, you pay for that cost over and over and over again because you're carrying it through airports, you lift it into your Ubers or your car, you haul it up apartment stairs, you find space for it in hotel room, you repack it every few months. So when you think of it like that, every possession that you have with you is asking something of you. When you know you're packing up again every couple months, you sort of stop buying things just because it's on sale or because it might be useful someday. That's every sweater, every coffee mug, every pair of shoes, every book. Yes, we had to stop buying physical books. Temporarily, of course. If you know me at all, you know I prefer a physical book in hand. I think that's one of the biggest mindset shifts we've had over the last couple of years. I was what I would consider an absolute shopaholic, but I think living this way has changed our relationship with stuff because every purchase that we make now comes with a series of questions. Do I have room for it? Do I have an immediate need for it? Can I offload it in LA or North Dakota? If not, am I willing to carry this around with me for the foreseeable future? Does it pack well? If the answer isn't yes to like at least 2 or 3 of these questions, then I really shouldn't be buying it. This took some time and some getting used to. After repeating the moving process over and over, we've slowly been downsizing more and more. So for us, packing is more than just fitting everything into your suitcase. It's becoming intentional about what deserves to take up space in our suitcases. That same mindset has changed the way we packed also, because once you figure out what deserves a place, then how you organize it becomes just as important. Lately, we've been using Bagsmart's Getaway and Blast collection, and it is awesome. After packing and unpacking so many times, the organization has become the key. I use the Blast packing cubes to separate everything by category, and because they're expandable, I can adjust them depending on what I'm packing for, whether it's a quick weekend or a longer stay. I also love that they're color coded because I know exactly where everything is going without digging through my suitcase. Lesson 2, now stay with me. Stop packing for the person you think you'll be. So this lesson is really about the gap between aspiration and reality. It's about reducing decision fatigue, and most of us don't pack for who we are, we pack for who we think we're gonna be on this trip. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when they're packing is that we pack for a version of ourselves that doesn't really exist. The person who's definitely gonna wear heels to every meal, or the person who's gonna wake up at 6 a.m. for the workout, or the person who needs a different jacket for every night. And then you get there and you spend the whole weekend reaching for the same stuff. So instead of the heels, you're reaching for the sneakers. You wear the same jacket out every night and you don't work out once. Trust me, I am equally guilty of this. The 6 a.m. workout plan is always me. I am nothing if not ambitious. But after 2 years of living out of suitcases, I've learned that it's really about being honest with who you are and who you're probably gonna be on that trip. So now before every trip, I sit down and I plan every outfit that I'm gonna wear, and I plan it by day and activity. I quite literally make a slideshow for myself. Every slide is an outfit for one part of that trip. It probably sounds excessive, but it keeps me really organized. Actually gives me the freedom to pack less because I know what I'm wearing every part of the trip. It actually also helps me spot gaps. So if I'm forgetting something, I have examples of what I'm wearing. It's so much easier to solve those problems when you're still at home than when you're already on the trip. So if you have it all planned out, you can see what you're missing. When you know exactly what you're bringing, packing becomes so much more simple. I've been using Bagsmart's Getaway carry-on for most of my trips because it works really well with that kind of planning. Between the compression board and the separate wet and dry compartments, everything has its place, which means I'm not digging through my suitcase halfway through the trip looking for one shirt I swear I packed. Lesson 3, good organization reduces decisions. One thing I never really expected for myself was to be so appreciative of good organization systems. It doesn't sound like much, but when you're constantly moving, all these little decisions and where everything goes really makes a difference. So we've become almost obsessive about giving everything at home its own little travel pack. Every minute I spend looking for something is a minute I am not spending doing something more important. For example, we have our Briar Road shoot coming up, and while it's not specifically travel, the planning for it's very similar. And we have to pack styling kits, clothing, accessories, supplies, laptops, lighting equipment. This is where I've been using the Bagsmart Blast Pro backpack. I cannot tell you enough how sick this thing is. What I really love about this is it opens completely flat, almost like a suitcase, so I'm not digging through one giant compartment trying to find something. I can actually see where everything's packed. Also, the laptop has its own dedicated compartment that lays flat, which is really nice. Whenever I'm on the go, I don't have to unpack everything else just to grab my computer. It also expands from 28 to 38 liters, so depending on what the day looks like, I can keep it compact or open it up so it can carry a little more. This is really important because when you get to a shoot, you don't want to be worrying about where everything is. You need it within reach. And I'm thinking about styling, I'm thinking about getting the shot, I'm thinking about the story we're trying to tell, I'm not thinking about what's in my backpack. Lesson 4, home is less about a place than a routine. This lesson is really about identity. We spend so much of our lives chasing this idea of home. It's a place, a city, a house, a neighborhood, the perfect kitchen. And once we have all these things, we think we'll feel settled. At this point, I've lived in dozens of hotels and Airbnbs and rental houses, and I've moved from state to state, and home was never just the next address waiting. You have to build the home. I think it's about the everyday little routines. I think it's about that first cup of coffee in the morning, or sitting outside for a few minutes with a book, or going for a run in your new neighborhood, finding local coffee shops and local bars, and cooking dinner with your friends or family, reading at night before bed. Those are the little routines that if you do them wherever you're at, that's what makes it feel like home. I think that even someone who has lived in the same house for 20 years can maybe relate to this idea. A home is built through repeated and intentional moments rather than the physical space. Meaning can be found in the small rituals that shape an intentional life just as much as the aesthetics of a home. For us, what makes this traveling thing less overwhelming, the trick is to unpack right away and start to build those routines immediately. Jill and I unpack as soon as we get to the next place, and we go for a walk that evening in our new neighborhood or a run that next morning, and we learn our new neighborhood. That way the specific address matters less. I do think it's funny that every location that we've lived in, we've had a slightly different routine based on the neighborhood or where we're at. So I think what we learned is the address matters very little. Home isn't something that you eventually arrive at. I think it's something that you can create one ordinary day at a time. Lesson 5, and this is a good one, I think. Owning less doesn't make your life smaller. I think the deeper lesson here isn't less is more. I mean, that's been said a million times. It's more like you can have a big life, or your life can become bigger even while the amount of things that you own becomes smaller. It's a paradox. I think I've slowly become someone who has realized the difference between what I own and what I actually need to keep moving forward. One thing I want to clarify before we finish here is that when I say that our life fits into 6 suitcases, that's not entirely true. If you're new here, we have a storage unit in LA, so technically that's full of furniture, books and bags and shoes, sentimental things, pretty much anything that we have that we can't actually take with us. What we take with us is essential. So technically, no, not everything I own fits into 6 suitcases, but almost everything that I need does. That's an important distinction. So for the past 2 years, everything that's allowed me to build this life has fit in those 6 suitcases. To be sure, if something happened to that storage unit, would I be sad? Of course. There are memories in there. There are books that I've collected, hundreds of books, and clothes that I love. But if it all disappeared tomorrow, it wouldn't stop my daily life today. It wouldn't stop the life that I'm building. It actually wouldn't affect my life in any real way other than the fact that I have emotional ties to it. Though I have less with me day to day, my life has become exponentially bigger. I've lived in places I could never have imagined. I've called places home that I have never even heard of before. I've watched Briar Road grow from an idea into a real brand. The reality is, I want to also point this out, my life does seem big, but the reality is my day-to-day life is really quiet. It's usually just me and my baby Nike, a cup of coffee, and working for hours alone. My day consists of working, I read, I go for a run, I go for a workout, I cook dinner. It's a small life, truly, and somehow it still feels like a very big life to me. The size of your life has very little to do with the amount of stuff inside it. It's the experiences and the people you meet and the work that you do, what makes you proud, the relationships you build, the person that you're becoming. Those are the things that are important. So I'm not saying you should go live out of 6 suitcases. That's not what I'm saying. That's not the point. But I do think it's food for thought worth asking yourself this question every once in a while. Are the things I own supporting the life I'm trying to build? Or do these things require me to build a life around? The takeaway isn't buy less. It is be intentional about what you let occupy your time and your space and your mind, your attention, especially your attention. If you told me 2 years ago that we would still be living out of 6 suitcases, or actually, if you told me 2 years ago that my life would look like this at all, I would not have believed you. I would have called you a liar. But I've learned a lot in the last 2 years. I've learned to be intentional with what I buy, to build systems that make everyday life a little easier. That's why finding a travel system has mattered way more than I ever expected. When you're constantly packing, unpacking, moving, reorganizing, you realize luggage isn't just something you use to get from one place to another. It becomes a part of your everyday routine. My entire life it's in those suitcases. And that's what I appreciated about the Bagsmart Getaway collection. Everything from the carry-on to the backpack and the packing cubes is designed to work together. So whether I'm packing for a flight, a weekend getaway, or loading up for a Briar Road shoot, just fits into the system I've already built. If you've been looking for travel gear that's built around flexibility, organization, and adapting to the way you travel, I'll have everything I've been using linked in the description below if you'd like to check it out. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with me. I'll see you in the next one.